All right. Ron, thank you so much for being here and having this conversation with me. Would you take
My,
a minute to introduce yourself?
thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for asking me to help you with this. I'm Ron Hansen. I'm a prior military policeman in the United States Air Force. My tour of duty was 74 to 94, and I'm respectively retired and glad to be out.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I think I'd love to start with what were you experiencing before you did any treatment with the Bridge Back Project?
Well, I have some prior experience with counterstrain. My wife had frozen shoulder 7, 8 years ago, and she went through literally every type of medical facilities to get help with the frozen shoulder, which no one could help her. It was down to uh, operation or live with it. And she heard about counterstrain. It was a man in Oregon, a company in Oregon. And she asked me one day, she goes, "Will you drive me down there? Let's take a shot at this." And it was expensive at the time. And this is, we had retired and from the military. We were in civilian jobs. And after the second visit, she was able to lift her arm above her head where she couldn't get it past her rib cage for months.
Yeah.
Story short, this counterstrain corrected everything that people tried medically, and she's living happily ever after. Fast forward to about a year ago, September, and I was driving home from work and got rear-ended, and the whiplash was pretty severe, and it gave me some inner ear damage. Along came vertigo, along with this nerve damage and a few other things that happened to me. And I started the process of an ENT hub. They were my primary source of communication, and they started sending me out to different locations, different medical facilities, hearing tests, all kinds of MRIs, brain scans, brain MRIs, VNG, which is a virtual, you wear a mask and sit in this cool chair and the doctor moves you around, tries to figure out what's going on with the vertigo. Well, they found out I had severe inner ear damage, but nobody could figure out about this vertigo. And they basically told me, people have to live with this. And I begged them to try to find a way out of this because it was really hindering my daily activities. Long story short, I ended up retiring from my 26-year job at that point. And we had moved out to a location a little farther away from home to be close to our grandchildren that were being born, more grandchildren. Number 6 and 7 were born in the last 2 years. So the vertigo, I was into the vertigo about 8 months. And it was really driving me crazy because I'm a very active person. I played 37 years of basketball, 11 years of soccer. So I've been an athlete most of my life, even into my old age. And we were getting frustrated, not getting any help from any of these facilities I was going to. And one day my wife goes, "Why don't you try counterstrain?" And I went, what are you talking about, counterstrain? She goes, "Remember when I went to Oregon?" And I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "Give him a call." And she looked up Element 7 for me. And I was encouraged to call. And on the telephone, we were talking about my symptoms, and then they realized that I was prior military and a first responder, and at the same time, I communicated I was being seen for PTSD through the VA. I was someone who lived with PTSD a long time. I just stayed really, really busy, and there's terms for it. And long story short, after I retired and settled down, my brain had time to slow down, and PTSD came back pretty strong. So I was started to see my VA. I'm seeing Zoom classes with a consultant now, continuing it. And they said, "Hey, we have three free visits for you if you'd like to come up and try counterstrain." And they said, "We probably can't help you with your vertigo, but we'll give that PTSD a shot, give you some help. I was ecstatic. I said, heck yeah, that'd be wonderful. So I went up and made my first meeting, and was very encouraged by how I felt there on the table. And because I'd never done this before. So it was a strange event. My wife gave me some information on how I might feel during that time and what they were going to do. And she reminded me that it doesn't feel like they're doing anything because you're not doing anything. You're not physically reacting back to them. They're doing everything for you. So, but this vertigo was really getting to me. So I made the appointment. I went up, and the first night I went home, I slept like a baby, and I hadn't slept like that probably 25, 30 years, literally. They cleaned enough toxins out of me, obviously, to let me relax enough to actually get a good night's sleep. Day 2 after going, I hadn't been to my second consultation yet. I sat up in bed and my vertigo was gone. And I mean, this was like the heavens opened up, because I had sat in bed for 8 months and sat there trying to catch my balance before I could literally put my feet down, stand up, and attempt to walk out of the bedroom. So I was obviously ecstatic about this and pleased. And I went to my second consultation. I told the doctors what had happened, and I did a little more research on counterstrain at that point, and it showed in there that vertigo could be something that could be helped by counterstrain. So anyway, I finished the last 2 classes. I've been vertigo free. My balance has been corrected. And I'm still dealing with some of the things from the accident, but the vertigo's gone. And that was the most important thing. I can live with pain, but I couldn't live with this dizziness. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do daily activities that I was used to doing. I'm a senior now, and now that I'm retired, I got things to do, got grandkids to take care of, and I got a house to take care of. And I'm a pretty, active person. I'm a people person, and I didn't feel like a people person during that time at all. I didn't want to go anywhere because I was dizzy all the time.
Yeah. You sort of alluded to it, because one of the things that always comes up is like, how do you describe counterstrain? Would you talk a little bit, like just walk whoever's watching or listening to this, to kind of like, what is a treatment like in your own words?
Most definitely. Well, I'd had the experience of talking to my wife about it before, so I kind of knew already. But counterstrain is like, it's nothing that you're ever going to experience again. The only thing you take off is your shoes. So you can be in jeans, you can be in a hoodie, you can be in t-shirt and shorts. You're not doing anything. You're answering some questions, medical questions, on how you're feeling. You're laying down on a bed, and you're going into a doctor's cot, a bed, and you're basically going limp and letting them control your body. So if they want your head moved a certain way, they move your head for you. If they want an arm moved or a body, they physically do it for you. So I've referred quite a few of my military police and civilian police friends and relatives with PTSD henceforth, and I encourage people, if they have the opportunity to go. Nothing.
Go ahead.
You just lay there, literally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you lay there on a massage table, and I think the thing that always shocks people too is like how gentle it is. Like it's a lot softer than like a deep tissue massage. It's much gentler than that.
Most definitely. I try to tell people, I try to explain it's like acupuncture with fingers, but it doesn't hurt at all. They're not pushing. I mean, they told me a couple of times this could be uncomfortable. Let me know if it is, but it never got to that point. Never.
Yeah.
They lift a rib cage, they press on your forehead a certain way. I mean, one of the stories my wife tells, when she was laying on the table in Oregon these many years ago, they touched her somewhere on her head and they went, "When did you sprain your right ankle?" And she's kind of looked at him and went, "How did you know I sprained my right ankle?" So, I mean, right there, that encouraged her and made her a believer. And
Yeah.
I had the same scenario. They were asking me about certain things that they could tell I had injured. Well, 38 years of basketball, 11 years of soccer, track and field, long jumper, football. I've had a lot of injuries. So they were constantly finding things and letting me know at the same time during this process what they were doing when they were touching me, whether they were draining toxins from my heart or my liver. And, you know, you don't want to believe it's helping you, but there's the end result is how you feel. And
Yeah.
I'm not a guy who's going to promote things that I don't believe in. Number one, I don't
Yeah.
go back to stores that give me bad customer service. I don't complain about them too much, but I don't go back. So I'm highly encouraged to send people to get help with this. Highly encouraged.
What do you tell your friends or your colleagues, you know, when you're having these conversations and they're sharing a story and you start to think, okay, this might be able to help? Like, how do you present it to them?
Well, knowing a lot of people and having relatives in law enforcement, I know who's responding to PTSD, who's not. I've opened up a lot more now that I'm being seen by the VA and getting help, obviously, from people like Element 7 and Paulsbo. You know, I encourage them to go because of what it did for me. I'm not a pessimist. I'm not I don't believe in talking negative about people. I'm definitely a people person. So I like to see people in their healthier spirit. And this is something that can turn someone's attitude around. This is something that can relieve stress. It can help you balance better. And I don't mean just physically, I mean mentally and physically. Most people know me that I'm not gonna steer them the wrong way. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
BS guy. I pretty
Yeah.
much tell it like it is, you know. And when I talk to people, I explain to them what it did for me, how wonderful the doctors are, and how encouraging they are, and how they walk you through step by step. They're not going to do anything to you that makes you uncomfortable. I think I mean, basically that's it. There's people out there I know who have PTSD, and I'm basically now a proactivist to look out for those people
Yeah.
and send them this way.
Yeah. A little ambassador.
Yeah, I'm definitely
um,
an ambassador.
Before you got treatment, do you remember having any reservations or doubts about it?
Yes, most definitely.
What were they?
Well, just the fact, you know, talking to my wife again, she went through this, and she came out the first time. She goes, I don't know if I just wasted my money or not. And I went, what are you talking about? We're still in the car, sitting in the car in Oregon. And I'm looking at her and we're talking, and we drove a long ways. And that was a lot of money to us at that point. You know, we just gotten out of the military. You don't get a lot of money in the military. So we were, you know, starting our new life and things. And she goes, I just laid there. All they did is push on my body. And I said, well, did they hurt you? She goes, no. But they knew certain things by touching me. And I said, what are you talking about? And she brought up the ankle thing and a couple other things that no one knew. I mean, she didn't have to write this down. You don't walk in and you don't write down all your physical ailments and, you know, and tell them, you know, I sprained an ankle when I was 6 or whatever. They tell you about your previous physical injuries. And but I was skeptical because when I walked in and I was anticipating what was going to happen, and I didn't anticipate the kind words and the great communication at the beginning, because I didn't go in with my wife to the meeting or to her appointment. And then when I only had to take off my shoes, I'm laying there in my jeans and I've got my baseball hat on, and she goes, "You want to take off your hat?" I said, "Sure." You know, she had to get in there and touch my head. But I was very skeptical until the 2 mornings later. You know, when I woke up and my vertigo was gone. I mean, I'm not a big crier. I'm a softie. I wear my emotions on my sleeves. I'll cry to a commercial of a puppy reuniting with a kid after a year or something. But this but this was really fantastic. This was the greatest thing that's happened to me since the birth of my granddaughter. And so I've turned into, like we talked about, I'm the ambassador. I'm the
Yeah.
ambassador for you guys now. I've I'll talk all day to them. Already told them I'll come to meetings and I'll talk in front of people and I'll take care of this because I wholeheartedly believe this is something that needs to get out more into the system.
Yeah. What did you need convincing? Like what convinced you to ultimately say yes?
Uh, well, my first 3 visits for free. That helped a lot.
Okay.
And they were
Yeah.
you know, they've got this program for first responders and prior military and people with PTSD, and I have to admit that was one of the reasons I said yes, because I know how much it was. But I'll go back. I'm going to go back. I've just got other things I'm taking care of now that have been sitting on my plate for since the 70s. Things I saw as a military policeman. I was post Vietnam. I was getting trained for Vietnam. Didn't have to go, and then as military members came home, I unfortunately witnessed way too many suicides and things like that. So, but I'm going to go back. We've just got to take care of a few things, get my life situated with the VA a little bit, and I'm going back. I'm a firm believer. My nephew just retired from a sheriff's department after 25 years, 26 years, and excuse me, I've already encouraged him to go, and he's going to listen to me and go to this too.
Cool. Yes. Well, we'd love to have him.
Really excited.
Is there anything that you wish we'd done differently or done better?
No, I mean, not being a medical doctor, not being educated in the things they did for me. They were kind. They educated me and told me what was happening before they did it. That relaxed me a lot. It wasn't lay down, get it done, get out of here.
Yeah.
They were very polite. I like being educated on things, so that was the most important thing to me. Before they touched me anywhere, they told me where they were going to touch me. They told me what they were going to do for me. Most of the time, they told me how it was going to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And it did. It wasn't. I wouldn't have gone back to the second visit if I thought it was a farce. If I thought I was, I'm just not that guy. So anything different? No, I honestly, it was so easy. It was so. The hardest part was driving there.
Yeah.
Uh, they took care of me in there. They treated me with respect. Um, it was an exceptionally good experience.
I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, that it's been really cool coming on to this team because I'm the newest member, and just sort of being immersed in like the passion and dedication of everyone.
Right.
It's not it. I feel like that's actually quite hard to find in a working environment. Is like that level of commitment to excellence and care, and just like really like centering people.
Most
So
definitely.
yeah, I'm very excited to hear that it's not just an impression, but it's actually coming
Oh,
through.
most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. And I'm encouraged to go back. I'm encouraged to be an advocate for them. I believe in this now, and I believe that I think once they get it out into the emergency rooms, into the first responders, the ambulance people, and stuff like that, I think it could change healthcare, especially at the traumatic end of the scenario, accident scenes and ERs and things like that. It can make a big difference if people can
Yeah.
fund this and get it going.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think like recovery from acute injury or acute incidences Fingers crossed we'll get there someday.
That's right.
I have one more question. Well, I guess I have kind of two, but this is my last robust question, which
Sure.
is, what would you, let's say there's somebody who's been perusing our website and they're trying to figure out if this is right for them. What would you say to somebody who is like learning about the treatment and is maybe on the fence of whether or not they want to give it a shot?
Based on my experience, it would be have an open mind. It's nothing that's going to hurt you. It's nothing that you can't go home and say, that's not for me. I think it's going to be for you. I think it will be for most people. The end result. This is a 5-star experience out of 5 stars. I rate real honestly, so I can say that openly and on camera for the public. If things are bothering you, give this a chance. I mean, I've heard of other stories and I've read of other things after being there now, and this is an exceptional medical. What's the word I'm looking for? Achievement, I guess. This is something that's going to change medicine in the future. This is going to give people more opportunities to have things corrected about their physical and mental state that might have otherwise been under a knife. And there's no pain involved. You're being walked through it, so you know what's going to happen beforehand, where you really don't know what's going to happen after a surgery. They can tell you what they're hoping for, but these people they're not intruding on your memory. They're not intruding on your future or your past. There's no one there to judge you. They're only there to help you. They're there to make changes in your chemistry that will physically alter your own future on a positive note. There's nothing negative about this. I just keep thinking how many people I've sent their way already. And my neighbor, I have a neighbor that's prior Army with bad PTSD. So he's going through a lot of stuff too. So I know a lot of people who have PTSD. And so that's something that, I know what I saw, so I know what other people saw too. So this is something that can help you. This is something that, it might not help you the first visit like it did me. It might be the second visit like it helped my wife. But when she had surgeons telling her, we have to cut you, we have to go in there, we have to go in and cut you. And she said, okay, well, and she had been to acupuncturists, the Chinese, she tried all the different herbs, chiropractic. She tried everything. And they told her, you're down to where we're going to have to cut you and go in there and make some physical changes to your shoulder. And luckily she heard about counterstrain and we took a chance. And that's what got me there. I mean, if somebody would walk down the street and go, hey, you're just going to lay there, they're going to poke on you, I'd go, yeah, okay, have a good day. but now I've experienced this. Yeah, peace out. Now that I've experienced this, there's no reason not to go back. There's no reason not to go to this.
Yeah. I had the same experience where I was like, and my dad kept trying to get me to go because I had some athletic injuries. They were pretty severe and inhibiting my mobility. And I was like, I'm not going to go see your massage guy, Dad.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Oh, they're going to poke my head. Cool.
Yeah.
And then and it changed my life in incredible ways too. So I relate very much to the skepticism to enthusiast pipeline.
Most definitely. Yeah. It's not a massage. You're not going in there to get a massage. You're going in there to have something corrected. It's way different.
Yeah.
A massage, you can go to massage therapy for 20 weeks and still have issues from when you first started to go in there. Counterstrain, it can fix you pretty quick. or at least help you pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
not like you, yeah, it was a great experience. I highly encourage it. I'm glad you got to go to that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Ron, thank you so much for your time. I just want to make sure, is there anything else that you want to share before we close out our conversation?
You know, these are educated people who know what they're doing. They explain to you what they're doing, and the outcome is wonderful.